So this week I have Hannibal from Hannibal is Hungry on YouTube and Instagram. I know. Are there other platforms as well?
I just started a Facebook page, even though I had to force myself to download the Facebook app again. But I still have friends and family. I still check the website. So I was like,
I know.
let me talk more about gig work on Facebook since I'll have some reason to be on Facebook. So I actually have a little Facebook page there as well. Hannibal is Hungry. You just type it in, you'll probably find me there.
Okay. Well, I'll put all the links in the show notes too. But Hannibal, thank you for coming
Cool.
on tonight.
Thank you for inviting me, man. Appreciate it. We talked
Yeah.
before, hanging out with Chad, the gig economist, or I think his name is Gig 2. I keep forgetting that. So yeah, excited. Excited to talk to you tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I'm kind of the same way as you are with Facebook, man. I dumped it years ago, my personal account, and then I set up one like under a fake name too, just to get my channel, just to get a channel going.
Yeah.
And then I found myself in this weird position of people were like, who is this? Because it didn't translate to who I am. And people were like, you're not the guy that does that podcast or that website. And I was like, I better go back to, so I actually reopened my Facebook, and I found that I hate it just as much as I did when I left.
Yeah, it got. I mean, I downloaded the app today. Actually, yeah, it's just they are trying to I don't want to talk about Facebook the entire time, but they're just bombarding you with so much information and stimuli, and just the way because I feel old, but I remember back in the day with the original Facebook, and it was chronological order of the stuff your friends and your family did, and it was the best. I mean, now it's what they think I want to see. But my friends and family is on it, so I'm going to deal.
But you got to scroll through all the junk to get to the friends and family stuff.
Yeah,
I do the same thing. I find that all my family in Michigan, while I'm in Colorado, if I want to see their kids and stuff, I got to go through all the ads first to get to it. It should come up first. I know why. I get it.
Definitely.
But yeah. So I think I heard it in one of your videos too. So I actually didn't notice till last week that your primary platform, if I'm right, is Rover.
Yes. So starting, it probably started at least over 10 years ago when I was, trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life and, in and out of college and whatnot. And back then I didn't have all the social skills that I may have, or the lack thereof, right, that I have today, where I wasn't comfortable talking to people and really trusting people. So I was thinking about, I have to get a job, got to make some money. So what do I like? What do I like? And I thought animals. And I kind of just started applying for like pet stores and stuff like that. So my first job was a no-kill shelter in Queens. And that kind of just started. I just kind of went from there. And then just discovering WAG actually first, and then Rover. So that was my first foray into the gig economy was 2018. I had a full-time job and I did that as a part-time thing. And I loved it. I loved it more than my full-time job because just like everyone else, it's a flexibility, but also the accountability. Like I have my page, it's my name on there. It has, all of my ratings. It's something you feel proud of when you look at it.
Are you talking about your Rover page?
On a Rover profile is what they call it. Yeah. And you have, it's kind of your own small business on this thing. So I've been doing that since 2018, and 2020 things went crazy, and now I do that basically full time. I do dog walking, I take care of animals, and doing 2020 when everything was locked down, there was no dog walking to be had. So that's when I joined Uber Eats and then DoorDash and Grubhub, and that's when I started the channel that I have today. So everything kind of just went crazy last year.
So right around the pandemics when you started.
Exactly. Yeah, because there wasn't much work.
I had been doing Uber Lyft drivers for almost it'll be 5 years in February for the website, but I didn't start the podcast till the pandemic. Same here.
Yeah, you had nothing else going on, right? Just ain't
right.
Like,
I mean, I had the idea for a while.
Yeah.
And then it was funny because when I started it was David Pickerel and I from Para. We met through a CBS article that we both did. And where we were both interviewed, and it was wild. I didn't know the guy. And he was out in San Francisco. I'm in Denver, and I'm reading this article and they put up my quote on it. And then right below it, they put this quote from David. And we were exactly on the same page, doing the same thing, trying to help people out with PUA and like learning about all these states. And he had developed some software with somebody, and I had all these connections with different states. And so I contacted him out of the blue. And that was like the starting of us. And he was doing autonomy.jobs. He had left Uber operations. And then it eventually became Para, but it was same thing. Like my podcast started off as a PUA helper. instead of what obviously the initial thought was not PUA helper, because I didn't even know what PUA would be when I was originally thinking about it. There wasn't such a thing. So
I hear you. It's the same thing here with like I always did some little podcasting here and there before, before 2020. But yeah, I realized that how much I enjoy making videos and then also talking to people. And that's why I do a lot of the live streams, just communicating with other content creators, other people who are doing the gig work. And I find that enjoyable. So it's like I found another thing that I'm actually into because of what, everything that has happened.
Right. Yeah. For me, it's amazing. I'm glad, but it's amazing to me to hear that you have this, great business with Rover out here in Denver. Rover is like, I guess in a lot of cities, but Denver's a very big city that's now even overcrowded. It's, a lot of California's moved out here, and don't even get me started on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
We got such a beautiful state. I'm just like,
it's like, yeah, feel you.
But so but yeah, like here a Rover job happens around, like I'm signed up for Rover too, but I only would see them like around the holidays, only because people I think did what you did that I heard in the video, and yet they did it on such a great scale. They just kind of created their own business, and really most of the people on Rover were happy. I don't want to be mean to Rover, but we're happy to leave Rover to be with somebody.
Just like all these other gig apps, there's some cost and benefits. So like Rover takes 25% of the earnings. They also a little bit of fees they're for the customers. So a lot of times, after a few good stays, taking care of the dog for a few times, and you get a rapport, you get a comfortability with the client, with the dog. They say, hey, you know what? I'll just, we'll move off of Rover and pay you directly. So I have a number of clients that I trust them, and I've been doing this for 10 years. So I've seen every dog, I've seen every type of temperament, any kind of breed. So like I tell people like that's my life of taking care of animals. Like I take this seriously. I know a lot of I don't know if you probably read some of the negative articles that was on Rover. I think when Rover actually became public, CNN had like another hit piece article about how it's not much of a hit piece. I'm sure these things happen where people have dogs that people, on Rover, you take care of them and they either get lost or terrible things have happened. So, people sometimes think it's just, I'll just take care of this dog and I don't have to put so much care into it. A lot of people are either in school or they're in between jobs, but you're taking care of a living being. There's a level of care that's involved. So, I just tell everyone, like, really, really, if you're going to do it, make sure you love animals and you make sure that the animal's a good fit for your home before you let that animal come into your home, because anything can happen.
For sure. Yeah, I'm not much of a cat guy, but I've never in my life not had a dog, and in fact, I've always lived with 1 to 4.
Oh, so you're good to go.
Like I'm my own dog walking house. I got to hire myself. Yeah. So, but I've had roommates and stuff along the way too when I was younger that had dogs, and we had a house and my dog, and just became accustomed to lots of dogs being around all the time. Yeah. So, and Colorado's very dog friendly too. Everywhere is hikeable. Everywhere, a lot of off leash. But I'm gathering that a lot of your clients come from the fact that you live in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, so I live in Brooklyn, New York City,
and a lot of
so many people, so many
high rises, little areas to work with, and
that doesn't stop people from having dogs. It does not stop. You think you should have more space to have an animal. No, everyone has it. I don't know the stats, but I'm sure almost half, maybe that half, maybe 1/3, but everyone has some kind of animal, and people love their dogs. So, once May hit and the CDC kind of relax some of the restrictions, that's when the whole summer was flooded with work. I think a lot of Rover sitters were just flooded. Again, it depends on where you are, because people were traveling for the first time in over a year, and people were taking trips 3, 4, 5 days. It's like, hey, take this dog, I gotta go. So I'm planning. I'm guessing that Thanksgiving and Christmas is gonna be pretty good too.
But you do the overnights and everything.
Correct. So I do dog walking. Sometimes I do a cat sitting. We just
at
go
your to house, or are you doing it at the people's house?
I usually have about 3 to 4 dogs at my house. I have a unique situation. Like I am in an apartment, it's 2-bedroom apartment, but I have access to a backyard. So I have more space than I guess the average apartment dweller. But then also I do like a cat sitting, which basically you just go to a person's house, clean their cat box, you feed them, and you kind of peace out. So those are two, and then dog walking as well.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I'm imagining I have two friends, one who lives in Boulder, but one who lives here in Denver. I can relate to better because Boulder pays so high on everything that my friend, they're both girls too. Maybe that helps as well. I don't know, but the one up in Boulder just crushes it with her own. She doesn't even use a Rover or anything anymore. She has too many clients. And it's because she's best friends with one of our other friends who owns a gun barrel grooming, which is right outside of Boulder. So all her clients come from there. She just feeds them to her.
Yeah. You can really you can really make a good amount of money. And as much as I love Rover and dogs, I kind of want to start to stray away from that and do more with either podcasting or video creation, because it is a nerve-wracking kind of job. You're taking care of people's babies, and it could be a little bit anxiety inducing just dealing with that. You really can't venture off and go away because the dogs in the house, you got to take care of them. So for me right now, like I charge about $50 a night. So if I have 3-4 dogs, and I've been probably averaged that, probably a little bit more, so that's $200 a day before, I didn't even leave my house yet. So that kind of helps. And then I can still do the food delivery, because my wife is, my wife is home when she works. She has a regular W-2, but when she comes home, I can able to go out. So it's a good dynamic for my situation.
Yeah, but you guys can't go out together.
No, I mean, I have some crates and stuff like that, but yeah, no vacations. And she's I know she's probably not the most happy about that, but she, that's, I don't have a W-2. I'm full gig worker.
Right.
This is how I make my money.
Me too. And I know you're a dad. I'm a dad too, and all that. I got to juggle things all the time. So it's
definitely.
You never know. Luckily, mine's starting. He's sophomore in high school now, so we're getting to that age where it's a different type of problem.
Yeah, time was flying by. I mean, my boy is 7. Soon that time's gonna fly by, and I'm gonna have to deal with him in high school. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you can imagine. So I have my his mom and I have been divorced for a while, but we're still friends. But he lives here 5 days a week. So the whole pandemic, we were locked in a house together. I was locked in with a 14-year-old, who's like trying to be a teenager, and like you could see him like coming out of his skin almost. I mean, it's kind of weird, I'm like, I don't know what to do. But
I hear you, man.
So I wanted to talk about one thing. I wanted to talk about was the last 2 videos that I saw that you did. The what I wish all gig apps would stop doing.
Yeah.
Like just a few days ago. No, I mean, because you said I think you said in there, let me see what I have. Specifically this point really hit to home with me, that it, maybe more people than I think this, and I know you said it, but I've been thinking it a lot lately that, first of all, their interactions are very strange as it is, as we come back out of this into some reality of whatever it's going to be for a while.
Yes.
Here in Denver, I feel like we're bouncing back pretty good, because I can see the difference to Boulder. Boulder still has a face mask restriction on everything, everywhere.
Wow. Yeah.
You still got to do it. Here, nowhere. Nobody cares anymore. We're done.
God bless that place where you live.
I mean, it's really nice to see people aren't judging. They're not asking. They don't care. They're just minding to their own business, and nobody has a mask on. So
yeah, unfortunately,
what we do, it's not a Texas thing. We're in Colorado.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that
it's a weird spot, and I'm in the epicenter of it. I'm in New York City, it's Brooklyn, and it really depends on who you talk to. And I feel as I interact with people, and I've been outside doing food delivery since like last summer, so I had the mask on, and some people were more sensitive than others. Some people will literally say, "Can you back up?"
Yeah,
like I need more. I'm like, all right, cool. Like I know, cause no trouble. I still see things I still see people right now go to grocery stores, mask, face shield, and gloves. They're in the grocery store. It's like that dynamic is, and then, I mean, I don't want to get political, but the mayor and the governor are keeping us in that state of panic. I mean, I'll just be honest. It's just the way it is. Yeah. So I think
but is everybody following all that there? I mean, are you seeing
depends on where you,
or are people kind of going like, whatever, dude, like enough?
You live in the hood, they don't care. And they probably they realize, and that's the really interesting thing about the politics and the policy. So we have a vaccine mandate that's happening to many of the workers, right? In the restaurants, you have to show your
I was going to
information.
ask you about that. Is that real? I mean, do they really do
It's
that?
legit. Yeah, they will. Yeah, they will X. And the places that don't, yeah, it's good for right now. But you know, they make it call it the fines because they're doing like undercover kind of situations.
Mm-hmm.
But it's affecting certain communities, particularly the Black community. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people in the Black community are not vaccinated and do not want to be vaccinated.
Right.
So when I'm doing my food deliveries, I'm going to certain neighborhoods where it's more, affluent, gentrified areas, packed, kind of looks similar. Like, oh, this is kind of like back to 2019. But when you go to restaurants in the other neighborhoods, they're struggling because they have to follow the mandates. They don't want to get fined, but a lot of their clientele have no interest in getting the vaccine, so they're not even going to these restaurants. So a lot of small businesses are going to get affected. I think a lot of them are still doing 50% probably of what they should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really chaotic situation in New York City right now.
I would imagine. I mean, like our businesses, we went on off for could the bars and restaurants be open? Did it just have to be to go? Did they have to be outside mass? There were so many changes. What time they had to close everything, but we're finally fully back, and they don't have the policing here. Even though again, Denver's a very big town, but we just aren't doing it. Where we've said, like you have to do this, and finally they just pulled the rug out from everything, and they're just like, be vaccinated or don't. Enough. Just go live your life.
I think so, and I think
And I
that's
think
yeah.
that's where I think we're at a point where everybody just needs to get to live with that. Because when you said in your video, what hit me was when you said, there were, or at least I added this portion, was that there was a time when contactless was appropriate, maybe on many levels. But you were saying like, how you're getting annoyed by this and like it needs to go back to contact, but you were talking about for reasons of like people taking ownership for their orders and things of that nature. But I also
Yeah,
think it just needs to go back to it
yeah,
in
I
general, dude. I
agree.
mean, we're like, if we don't soon, what did I write here? That, I think it's extremely important that we go back to contact for the reasons you said, just for the general reasons, before we forget how
Yeah, yeah. I
to
mean,
be around
like
people.
exactly. You're hitting it right at the home where what I was saying. Like, yeah, we could talk about in terms of people are not being telling the truth, and at this point, I'd rather just give the food to you and the pin thing of the Uber Eats that they follow. But yeah, I believe that we're losing part of our humanity, our way to communicate with each other. Even if I don't know you, I have no
Mm-hmm.
problem. I want to hand you this meal. It's something good is happening. You're hungry.
Right.
You ordered it. I'm here. I got it. I came straight here. I didn't goof off or did something else. Like, here's your food. Smile. Maybe not even a quick "how you doing," but it'd be nice if he did. And those interactions to me are cool, instead of me just leaving it on the floor of a you know apartment door that's not really how clean that is, and or outside somewhere, and have to worry about is the person's going to lie or somebody's going to grab this food.
Right.
Even with the Amazon packages where a lot of theft is happening. A lot of theft is happening. A lot of people are getting deactivated and stressed out over this when they know for sure I delivered this food to someone, but as long as contactless, someone can say I didn't get it. So
Yep.
it definitely is twofold with that situation.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know. It's crazy to me that I feel like you should almost be able to have two options within these gig apps. Like one should be you're ready to take contactless, like me. If I'm going to order food and you're delivering it, I would just click generically in the app. Yes, I'm willing to take food from the people. Whatever, dude. Like I'm
Yeah, yeah,
fine. I'm ready
yeah,
to re-enter the world. But the other one could be like, like once you've hit the order's been dropped, they have 2 minutes to check that. And
yeah,
it pings you, or 90 seconds. You know what I mean? If they're like,
yeah,
hey, listen, I shouldn't have to rush that fast. Yeah, you should. Because if you're making this driver do this and you're not even going to look him in the eyes, but you might accuse him of something, you need to go out there like while you're still close enough to
yeah,
handle it.
yeah.
Like you drop it, you walk back to your car. Now the timer's going. So by the time you're in your car, you wait like a minute, then you move on. If nothing happened, his complaint wouldn't count.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, like every time I order something, I check the phone, and if I see a little, little guy, a little icon going down my street, I get up and I go outside. Like, let's make it easy for everyone. I want my stuff. You
Mm-hmm.
want to deliver it and go on your way to do more work. So I think that's more, it's about consideration that
Yeah.
I think that's been missed. I know the big thing for I see a lot of ride-alongs is the door codes. And if they don't get the door code to the complex, they just frustrating experience. And that just a lot of that just keeps happening. It's interesting. Sometimes even they'll say leave at the door, and then you're about to leave the door, the person opens the door, and it's like all right. And we have that awkward pause where like I'm about to put the food down, and there's someone staring at me like, you want me to? All right, so what should I do? Should I put it down and walk away? Because I think one time I got in trouble by Uber Eats or something that didn't follow the delivery instructions. But I didn't know, I didn't know mean put it down and run away from the person. The person looked at me and I gave him the food. And I think I had like a comment that I didn't follow the drop-off procedure of contactless delivery. So, but that was probably pretty early on in the pandemic where people were just super sensitive. It's like,
Then why is he opening the door so quick?
I
you know,
logic, and there's a lot of logic.
If that's
there,
somebody
man.
who's that scared, it would be waiting to hear DoorDash or whatever, and
give me like literally a minute. It won't take that long. I'm not here to hang around. But yeah, I thought about that, and I know a lot of drivers rather do. I think they, again, our socialization is kind of deteriorating. A lot of them will probably like the idea that you don't have to see anyone, so I could just drop it and move. But how many people are lying? I would love to know the numbers from all these apps. How many people claim
used to go on
that
with rideshare pre-pandemic all the time? People started like learning about it. They'd call in just to get a free ride. To get a free $8 ride, they would literally go through the power of being able to deactivate a driver.
Yeah.
Like for $8. It's like, dude, like you need a moral compass, and you need a self-check if you're doing something like that.
Yeah, because you're not just attacking like this company with the name. You're attacking another person just like you, just trying to make some money, just trying to get through this. So I think it's happening a lot. And it'd be nice if like the Uber Eats PIN system. I think it's pretty decent. I would not. Mm-hmm. I can't put the PIN in unless you tell me. And if no one told me, that means I didn't give you the food yet. Like, to me, that's the only system that I've seen that can probably stop a lot of these situations. I don't think DoorDash does anything differently. I think they just do it and believe the customer. Believe the customer and just move on. And same thing with Instacart. Believe the customer.
Right.
And unfortunately, we know a lot of them are not telling the truth.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. So the other video that you did, not the one today, I think you had one today, but the our gig workers, truly independent contractors. And I guess it goes back to what we talked about with you working Rover and kind of your own business model.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of that was Jen on the Go's piece. And you addressed both ways of looking at it, but not your business of having your own clients, but the gig platforms themselves. How do you view them? Even though I know I think that if I've read you right from your videos and what I know of you, that you prefer independent contractor status like I do.
Yes, I definitely prefer it. That's how my mindset has been since I was let go of my job in 2020. I even told the person that was letting me go, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to work for anybody else. I'm not going to work for anybody else again, and I was there for almost 10 years. It was more like a marriage. It was more like a divorce because we just got tired of each other, and she was annoyed with me, and I was annoyed with her, and she was like, hey, this is not working out. I was like, yeah, you're right. And we just kind of left it like that. But I was like, I'm not interested in working with anybody, working for somebody else. I want to work for me. So independent contractor, yes, that's how I feel I am. And I know it's more of a legal term, but at least in my mind, this is what I do. I make my own way. Right. But in terms of the apps and the way they are structuring the algorithm, I don't, yes, they would love us just to say we're independent contractors, but for instance, with the DoorDash, like I said in the video, if they're pausing you because you're not taking the orders that they want you to take, you can still consider yourself an independent contractor, because the idea you're supposed to be able to pick freely what gig or what job you want. There's an employer telling you what gigs to take. It's supposed to be a free and open thing, but the way DoorDash, and I guess particularly with DoorDash, I know like Uber Eats, after like 3, they kind of ask you if you're still around. He's like, yeah, I'm still around. These orders suck, man. But you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing, or even Grubhub, like you know, it'd be nice if you accept one of these orders. The way the algorithm is structured, it kind of makes it seem like we're as what the young lady from the Gig Workers Collective kind of saying, we're misclassified. But I know talking to you and talking to Chad, you know, I realize that it's an outdated term. There got to be something else in between this. It's a gray area.
Well, but if it wasn't an outdated term, because I mean, I think I see like where Chad comes in with that. I don't know that I 100% agree with all of it, because I guess my question is, do you see the app-based gig economy right now as, even though it really is independent contractors and we all want to be that, do you really feel like those platforms are providing independent contractorship? Because they actually know amounts, they know the tips, they know where you're going. They've actually written extra code to cover it up so that you can't see everything. They've taken the transparency away. They put a acceptance rate on that means nothing, because as we know, you can be a DoorDasher and have a 1% acceptance rate. It doesn't matter. And it shouldn't. You're an independent contractor. It shouldn't even be on there. I've always thought that's just to scare newbies.
Yeah.
Like
I thought I didn't know when, you know, before. That's one of the good things about researching what you're doing.
Right.
Like when you join something, you're looking into something that you take the time to research it. So really, but you're saying a lot of things that would persuade you know, a rational human being to be like, oh, but I guess I'm under more control than I thought. We can still turn off the app. Okay, right?
Right. Well, see, that's where,
the only
I guess
thing,
that's
right?
where I get with it, is that like when I get asked this same type of thing, I think, yeah, maybe I'm not your definition independent contractor. However, the contractors are not following independent contractor obligations that they need to, and then by that, it shouldn't, that doesn't equate to you're an employee in my book. It means, like we were just saying, there needs to be a different term.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't need to be like Europe's. It doesn't need to be worker class. It doesn't need to be exactly defined by that, because we've learned that we can't follow European standards on everything. It doesn't work.
Oh no, not no.
You know,
we get into that
doesn't work for them, you know, but what you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, to me, I don't know. I've heard you use the word regulation, and as much as I hate it, I feel like we're coming to a place where everybody's going to just have to accept there's going to be regulation.
I think I've been saying it more and more as of late. I think when I first started even doing the news show with Chad, and I think we talked about, like, we don't want the government to really be anywhere near this, but these companies have been so greedy a little bit. Just you know, like, how many times are you gonna get your hand caught in that cookie jar before the cookies will be taken and put them in the cabinet and locked? Like, how many times are they gonna put, you know, all these bad stories just keep coming out? And it's like, eventually the lawmakers that they want to do something to either, you know, advance their own careers or whatever. And just, you know, just what happened with New York, where during the last hurricane that was here, and the apps are still on, and you still had people in e-scooters and e-bikes and, you know, 4-foot water still doing deliveries. It's like, why you didn't turn off the apps? Why you have these people doing this? So then they came in and did a little, and nothing too significant, but enough to, you could tell the ball is going to be rolling. And I think that's why, you know, I think what's happening in Massachusetts, where, you know, a lot of these companies are just trying to get ahead of it, but eventually it's going to be regulated. Now, how is that going to look? This is going to be where we wish they never touched it. It's like, damn, maybe we could, but now it's really terrible. Like, that's my fear of some of the legislation that may be coming down the pike in the next couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not even talking about the big picture PRO Act type thing or things like that. I'm just talking about there needs to be, and I'm not saying it needs to be an employee model. I almost feel like it needs to happen sooner rather than later, as much as I would hate a regulation, because otherwise I feel like it's facing that challenge of potentially a pro act type model, which takes away 59 million jobs in this country in one fell swoop.
Yeah. And we seen like the gig economy is just getting bigger and bigger, right? Like
Right. I mean, there's people quitting their jobs and coming into this, and even if it's just for temporary, going, whatever, dude, I can't work for that guy anymore.
Yeah. And it's interesting you brought that up, because I think it was like 4 million people quit their jobs in the month of August. I forgot what month it was, but and I'm starting, and at least I'll admit I was wrong. Like, I thought as soon as a lot of the federal benefits was going to leave and be vacated, and then the moratorium stuff, like, I thought everyone's going to go back to those jobs. Yeah, no worry, they're going to get, they had their fun. Like,
Right.
all right, I've been doing this for a few months. I had my little vacation, and it is not happening. And I'm surprised about that, to be honest. But then I guess I started to look at more about people just have some money on the side. Savings are a little higher than normal, and people are tired of these jobs.
Yeah.
A lot of the jobs that are available, they do not want these jobs.
And they realized they were able to do them from home. We saw this last year. I mean, like, we all thought this will, and it was quite the shit show year, to be blunt.
Yeah.
But to be honest too, like, we did see companies perform better than we thought with nobody going into work. How are we going to do this? And it still worked. And then these companies rolled out that hybrid model of like work 3 days from home, 2 days from the office. And some people allowed you to just stay home. But that 2 days from the office was like, why do I got to come in? And they dealt with that. They were rolling with it. And then the vaccine mandates. And even if you had the vaccine, I know people who had the vaccine who were like barely dealt with the going back for 2 days to their W-2 job. But even though they had the vaccine, weren't going to produce it for their boss, just weren't. They're like, dude, you know what? No, I'm not going to do this, because I'm not going to be a part of this, because then it's just going to be more and more you're going to want.
Yeah, it is like really chaotic mess right now of so many different things happening at once. You think someone needs to kind of ease up and say, hey guys, how about we just take a step back?
Yeah,
let's work through some things, stop trying to ham fist certain things onto people. We kind of need everyone to go back to work, but I think a lot of people are reevaluating their lives. I mean, I have, obviously, for what I'm doing currently, and I'm happier for it right now. And I think a lot of people are going to take a chance, at least right now, to either start that business or start that whatever, find something different that they want to do. And I guess it's going to take a little longer before people have to go back to those, what do you call those, BS jobs? Actually, it was a book called BS Jobs. I got to read it, actually. But I think I'm pretty have a good idea of what kind of jobs we call that. Jobs where you don't really feel like you're producing anything. You don't have no autonomy. You're not growing. You just feel like you're a clog on the wheel. You just kind of going through the motions. And I think that's what a lot of jobs in our society. I think, before this,
right.
most people hate their job. So the gig economy, as much as we kind of, complain about it, or at least we having a critique about it, is much better than working at W-2 in many W-2 jobs that's out there right now, especially the ones that are open currently.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, and I also, like I talk with everybody and say around the country, is that, like, if you tell me something's not working in your area, maybe it's not. I have a feeling there's a way to work it, but Denver's a good gig economy city. It's great gig economy city. You can pick up pretty much any of them, do pretty well. If you want to like learn the ins and outs, you can do that and get really good at them and make good money. But it's an expensive town too. So are you able to check your email? Did you see a picture I sent you?
Yes, I actually looked at that as you were getting ready.
Okay.
I'm gonna pop it up so I can look at it as we talk. Okay, cool.
Because we've seen things like this before, but I've never seen it so blatant. They're literally saying in the app that you need to watch, or you can watch training videos. Training videos have been a major holdback of why we're not employees.
Interesting.
If they give training videos, this is why we've never had them on any of the apps. Because if they give training videos, you're training people and then they're employees. You're not hiring independent contractors. That's why we've never seen any training videos. You have to go to YouTube. You can't go find them on your app.
That is
interesting. But now
interesting.
Uber, this is from 2 days ago. That was on the app. It's the first time I've ever seen it that blatant. And I was like, what is going on here?
Is the wording, it says watch our driving tutorial. Is the word tutorial, I mean, I would say it's synonymous with training, but do you think by using that word tutorial, they escape that kind of calling it training? I'm sure I'm going like,
to be honest,
really
I don't know,
annoying.
but I
Yeah.
know that like everybody in the beginning was kind of steered towards Harry. If you wanted to learn something, you went towards Harry or other creators and
Yeah.
found out how to do it. Uber didn't have one thing. So it didn't matter on the wording. It was that they couldn't be teaching you or providing any kind of help as to how to do this. I mean, I don't know if you remember, like I started in 2014. It was just get signed up, have the background check, and it was like, hey, download the app and turn it on. That's all they said.
Interesting.
I mean, you got nothing. You have to go like just turn it on and go, okay.
But I guess ideally, right? Like if you're having someone to, you're having people sign on to do this platform, to do this gig, you would assume that there should be some support on how to do it properly or how to perform the task properly.
We're just in a very weird time right now with employment status or worker classification.
Yeah. Where, I'm wondering, is it possible that things are going wrong and this is basically they have to put this there because I'm trying to figure out why all of a sudden. How long since this actually got popped up?
That was 2 days ago.
Yeah, something must be going on.
And I got to tell you, like, people send me screenshots all the time. I've been doing this since I started uberlyftdrivers.com for almost 4.5 years now. I've been getting contacts, people I know send me screenshots of everything. I haven't seen this.
And this wasn't in an email newsletter, like
no, that's put in there
for. That's just no. I'm saying, like, did they explain this in a newsletter?
No.
Yeah, this is sneaky stuff.
And it's also, it seems like it's like a nail in their own coffin.
Yeah,
I mean, like you're giving fuel to like the AB5 movement that's going to be H1234 or Pro Act or any of that. You're giving fuel to it by saying here's some tutorials or training videos.
I think the labor movement, or at least the union labor movement, is stronger than ever right now. I'm sure you're familiar with what's going on with John Deere. A lot of workers they're leaving or they're striking. It seems like the only company that seems able to fend this off really well is Amazon. For some reason, nothing seems to touch. I mean, damn, they're a trillionaire company, but they seem like they're only company able to kind of fend this off and have the big media blowups and have all the people in the warehouse strike or talk about it, and then they give them the choice, and it's like nope, like they're able to figure it out. But the other companies, they don't seem like they're able to handle it as much. In the labor movement, and a lot of it is not necessarily based on a treatment, which it should have been. It's based on these mandates. It's based on these things like, oh, you got to do this. Like, oh, really? I got to. I mean, even the police, Chicago police sheriff is like, no, we're not going to tell you if we're vaccinated or not. Like, we're just not going to do that. And then the mayor,
a lot of them are even vocal about they won't. And then Mayor Lightfoot is all, she's calling him a racist and
doubling down, saying,
I don't even know, I don't know that this guy, I don't know their police chief is a racist at all. I don't think he is, in fact. I don't know if she's just,
it's just it's the typical playbook of,
I know, but
it's
I mean, but that's a city. Let's talk about a city that even worse than New York right now, probably. And I'm originally from Michigan, so probably worse than Detroit right now. Chicago's in a hellhole right now.
Yeah,
and has been for a while. To lay off half their police force is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, you think there should be some level of compromise.
It shouldn't be defund or refund the police. It should be like remake our police.
Yeah.
And that would take funding, but it's got to be some kind of. It can't be defund or refund the police. Those two sides aren't going to meet. You got to have like a rebuild the police or some kind of terminology that says we understand there's problems, but we also have to protect and serve.
Yeah, because all these ridiculous regulations is basically hurting the people who they're saying they care about, and the people in the Black community. Like, we need the police, and it's not a political thing, but it has become. And I'm just wondering with the Uber situation, just like going back to that worker, are they realizing that this labor movement, a lot of again, where the Biden presidency, Are they trying to find a way to circumvent this to satisfy? Like, I'm wondering what they're doing with this, this idea of, like I said, training.
I have a strong sense that they are just keen to the fact that, I mean, again, sometimes with Ron from Entree Courier, I get a little political, especially when we're off the air, him and I do. But, it, no matter how you feel about it, it does look like in next year, the Republicans will seat both the House and Congress.
It looks like
that they'll
it
take enough
definitely
seats, and with the mistakes that have been made by the Biden administration, it wouldn't be shocking at all if that were the case. So it's not even really who's president. I don't think it's more about those seats being taken back. And then at that point, Uber knows they can start making deals with people.
Yeah.
They just
definitely
need to get through that time. It's not like they need to get through all the rest of the 3+ years of Joe Biden. They just need to get through next November when all the seats come up for grabs.
Definitely.
So I don't know. So where was I hearing this? I heard you talking about, maybe it was on Chad's newscast. Maybe it was even last night. I don't know. I heard you talking about the supply chain.
Yes.
And how you were really, how you thought, like this is going to be a big problem. Dude, I cannot agree with you anymore. In fact, here's something really crazy that's going on right now. So after you said that, I made a mental note and I somehow kept it. A lot of times I lose them when I do that. But somehow I remembered it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to remember to ask him this. So, because in California right now, so the Biden administration opened up the ports 24 hours a day, right? The
Correct.
ports are union run. The trucks are union run. So here's something that's going on right now that I don't know if everybody knows this. So now they might know that part, that the ports are open. And really there's not much, but just so everybody knows, the 24 hours hasn't really changed the output from the ports in any given day. There's not more going out because of it. It didn't do anything. It just created more union hours. So I mean, clearly this is not a solution to the problem. In fact, here's the big problem that I see. And here's an example of the AB5 Dynamex problem. So California is not allowing independent truck drivers to help in the supply chain nightmare. Only union truck drivers are allowed to work from the docks. So here we have an example of AB5 not only preventing independent truck drivers from working. If those IC truckers could work and could come in from other states, we could see the supply chain restock itself 2 to 5 times as fast as it's going to.
Yeah. And
I mean, so like talk about a nightmare that could be solved like that. And I'm not saying like, okay, I might want to say that let's get rid of AB5. And I personally, if I lived in California, I would. I've talked with enough people. I know this. I know how I feel. However, there needs, if you're not going to at least do that, they at least need to get on some kind of temporary, truckers have a temporary status to be excluded from this, just like the carve outs that happen. Because I mean, to know that we could have our supplies stocked back in probably 8 months to some normality as opposed to 2 years is a big deal.
And it looks like, just reading up on it a little bit, that this has been a problem before, like it's the pandemic, like the way the unions were structured, the way some of these deals were made, where it was never based on efficiency. Longshoremen, some of these guys are making tons and tons of money, but we're not the most efficient docks. Other countries are doing better than we are. And now we have, I don't know how many ships just in the water, like 500, like some ridiculous amount of ships with all the goods that we want, and we can't get them unloaded fast enough. And it just seems like the government don't seem like they're going to have a right answer. Like you said, the 24-hour thing was just something to say to please, I don't know who, because anyone who knows what's going on in the ground realize that it doesn't do anything, because other parts of the system needs to be going 24 hours as well. If one part is not working, where are they going to take this? I mean, like, so it's a big problem. I think a lot of us in the geek community are not talking about it because things get more expensive, meaning restaurants may not be able to purchase that many stuff. They may have to increase their prices for certain items, certain meals. That means people will pay less for it. That means less orders for us. So I think a lot of us aren't talking about that, unfortunately, but sometimes it'll be too late by someone saying, you know what, there's no orders happening.
I guess the big thing though is like here's my question. So people, overwhelmingly voted for Prop 22 to take down AB5.
Yes.
And a lot of people didn't even want to, because these are big corporations that they didn't want to be like, I'm going to vote with Uber over here. They wanted to be like, I don't want to, but to just to have their business, they had to. But I mean, that won by almost 3 million votes in California.
Yeah.
So, and then it was found that in AB5 or in Prop 22, that there was a California constitutional conflict, because in Prop 22, they put language that excluded the right to organize. How did I lose you there? Uh-oh. So I guess, okay, let me just say this. Do you think in any world, even the people who did vote for AB5, even those people, and they're pretty hardcore, I know a lot of them, do you think in any world that those people would say, no, we cannot allow temporary independent contractor truckers to get our supply, to get our shelves filled before Christmas?
I don't. It's interesting because it then becomes a political thing, right?
But does it, or does it become a let's get our country back thing? And then not political, just like let's get it stocked.
I think in an ideal world, you'll think like, yeah, let's stop the nonsense for right now and let's just come together. But I think our society is just so divisive where we kind of all know what we should be doing, but I feel like that other side, and this is beyond, this is family members too, and good friends where
of course
they voted someone different than you, and they think you're the worst person in the world. And I've seen this, and it's painful to see. So you're thinking, let's just get the toys for the kids for Christmas, right? Because that's one of the things they're saying. Like, as all the other, like bacon is more expensive, name it, whatever you're looking for is more expensive. There's none of, toys may be in short supply. Let's get this done. Right. And it's already almost November. So like they got to figure this out very quickly, or it's just more of a problem. So ideally it'll be nice, but I don't know. I might be just being really cynical. Maybe I'm just thinking like they're just not going to do that.
I just don't see how we're leaving. And I mean, we could look at this on everybody, like independent contractors who are writers for newspapers, who are, freelance, cartoonists, who are interpreters, anything like that. We could look at all of them. This is something different. This is truckers who have big rigs ready to roll. They can go take crates out of that yard right now, and probably faster than union jobs, because they do it on their time for X amount of dollars. So they're not about milking the clock.
Yeah. I mean, I've been a part of a union, UPS union. That was long time ago, definitely over 10, 15 years. And I remember working there, and the first thing they tell you is, oh, don't work so hard, man. What are you doing? You're working too hard. What are you doing?
Right, because you'll set like a bad standard, a good standard, like, but what they call a bad standard.
Exactly. You don't need, they don't take care of you, man. Don't worry about it. Just work. Just do what you gotta do. But that's the kind of work ethic that they tell 20-some-year-old about. Yeah, you're working too hard. Once you're union, you can do whatever you want. And I think that kind of attitude just filters down. And I just the unions, teachers union, there's so many.
I just think it's okay. It would be okay to write even every 3 months and renew it until needed kind of thing. Even though I still wouldn't agree that after it, those people should be able to work. However, right now, there should be every 3 months, they should look and evaluate, and until this supply chain's back in order, let all the truckers who want to work. If they have their CDLs, let them work.
They're needed.
Yeah, I mean, they're essential workers as much as it comes right now.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff I've been reading and watching, I don't know if it's true, but they're saying like this supply thing is going to flow over until the next year, far into the next year. This is not something, So it's interesting, and I'm interesting. I guess the whole truckers, they're needed, right? Like, Oh, they're making a video, like, people, if you're interested, you like driving for long
Oh my God, you can
time, and
get
you get to
$4,000
see.
to $8,000 bonuses right now to sign up for trucking. And that's not even one of those scams where you have to then pay for the class with that money and you never see it. These are trucking companies who are legitimately, as long as you're willing to put in like a year, going to give you an $8,000 bonus to do the 2 weeks and
I
then
think
work a certain amount of time.
I think that's a good idea. Like if
Right.
you're
But at the
into
same
this,
time, dude, there's a lot of drivers just sitting at home who have the license, who have the rig, who bought the rig. These are not cheap vehicles, people.
no,
those those semis, especially the ones that are like houses, those things are not cheap. I
yeah.
mean, they have a perfect one sitting at home. They can literally go to these docks and pick up an entire freight. Boom.
And then they're just sitting on the sidelines.
They're just sitting at home because they can't work because they're not union. So it's crazy. I mean, to me, it's so crazy because I even wonder, wouldn't California say, yes, let's let them do this and we'll just reevaluate it every so often? We need to get shelves restocked. I would think everybody in America would want that, and staying away from political. This isn't a political thing, or at least the way I'm saying it. But I would think everybody would be for that, because if you don't know, we are in a bad position with this. And then if you do know, you should absolutely be for this.
Yeah. Yeah, because right now we have a lot of money to spend, because government pumped a lot of it in there, and you can't spend it because the prices of the goods is getting higher and higher, and it just so many different things are happening at once.
Yeah,
It's like our heads are spinning a little bit, and we're kind of losing our way. And I was
all the
wondering,
more reason to do it, though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I hope it turns around. I know right now I got to start buying some Christmas stuff myself for the boy, just to make sure I got it good. And luckily all he likes is Legos, so hopefully there's no supply shortage on Legos, or I'm in trouble.
Right. So two other things I wanted to hit on before we wrap it up. So the one is, well, I'll go back a little bit first. Is that I remember noticing a while ago when you did your piece with a few other YouTube creators on mental health. And I really thought that was a good thing, because I think I'm a little older than all you guys. I'm just a little bit older. I don't know.
Gotcha.
But I've lost too many friends to too many reasons. And I watched your piece, and I know you lost a friend, and I'm really sorry to hear that. But I know that that's probably what really lit the fire under you to do this piece. And then I saw this Sara Elizabeth piece today. And I think that it's going on a much larger level than any of us know, even those of us who are acknowledging it, like you did with your video and whatnot. I think it's even happening to people who never have encountered that before, who are trying to just bury it.
Yeah. I it's funny. I did go to school for psychology long time ago. So it's always something that I was cognizant of, and always talked about. Like I talked with my wife and talked to my family. So it was interesting reading the comments based on that conversation I had with a couple of the creators, how they're saying, like, particularly men don't talk about it, which is interesting because, like, I talk about it all the time. Like mental health is something I always talk to my friends about. So it's very important, especially of what happened this year. And we can go by political going back and forth, or in terms of science, whether lockdowns is a good idea or not. Locking down people messes with their mental health. It's the reason why people in jail and the prison react the way they do. That's why they consider the 23 hours in your cell, 1 hour out. That kind of solitary confinement is basically torture. Right. Like, yes, they're pretty aggressive, and there's no other way to put them. But when you cut people off from society and social interactions, and you're afraid of your neighbor, that kind of idea, it weighs on the mind. And I think particularly right now, even the fact that things will open up a little bit, we're still trying to get back in our footing. And we go to eating a lot of food, or drinking, or other drug use, and that doesn't help. It's just a temporary thing. Social media, dopamine hits, all those things are not healthy for us. And it's interesting, just going back to the COVID thing, not one doctor went on TV and said, you guys just need to run. Well, you guys need to eat well or exercise. Why haven't all the NFL players and the NBA players, they catch it just as often and it just bounces off of them because they're healthy, they're taking care of themselves. So,
well, I mean,
we're not,
it's not just Joe Rogan saying it. There's a fact to 90% of the COVID issues right now are obesity.
Yeah, but
let's just be honest. Let's say it. It's true.
They're not telling us that exercise is important. Maybe we shouldn't eat, and then we're delivering fast food all day, right? Like and then when we're kind of contributing to the problem. I mean, it's funny just doing a lot of fast food delivery. I don't eat as much fast food because I'm always in those restaurants, and it's not a happy place either.
No.
And again, you're probably in a nicer area where everyone's a little happier, they smile at each other. But
yeah. I mean, there's parts of Denver. I live in a mixed neighborhood. But I mean, I mean, we're all pretty cool, but we're all blue collar,
But I just feel like a lot of the arguments or attitudes is always in the fast food restaurant compared to a nicer restaurant. You know what I mean? Like, so everyone's just angry, waiting for their fried grease, whatever. And I love it too. But I figure we being locked in as long as we have has really detrimental effects, and it's affecting kids too. Like,
oh yeah,
my 7-year-old, I really try to make it as normal as possible. So like in school, he has to wear the mask, but once he come out of school, Matthias, take that mask off. You're good. You know what I mean? Like, right. Like keep it. He's running around. He don't think there's the whole world's coming apart. He's 7.
No,
I take the burden of that. He plays like he's a normal kid, and he's doing well in school because I just don't try to scare him. And I'm sure there's a lot of parents scaring the crap out of their children. And that harms them long term, way before, all right, sure, maybe a couple years we may get out of this, but the effects that's happening from last year, it will weigh on for a very long time.
Yeah. Last year, my son had always done very good to very good in school. Last year did horrible. I'm not going to lie. He did horrible on the online stuff. And this year he's just crushing it. And it's all him. It's not me. He's like figured out, you know what, I'm a sophomore, my friends and I have grown up a bit, and he's just killing it with all his classes. Yeah. And so I'm loving watching it because I'm not on him at all. He's doing this for him. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Because last year, another thing too, the remote learning was not effective for many kids, because I think the problem was, and we my wife kind of realized this pretty quickly. He's homeschooled now. We got to homeschool them. Like they're providing bare bone kind of material. Looks like we're going to have to do the most of the work, which is, and it's funny. A lot of kids moved, and a lot of parents took the kids out of public schools and they're homeschooling them, or they're going to private school or charter school. So my son is in charter school. He's not necessarily in a public school, but we realized that, we're going to have to homeschool him now. We got to do all the work, which is fine. At least we knew that was going to happen. But a lot of kids don't have access to the internet, don't have the technology, don't have the parents at home with the patience to teach. So yeah, I think a lot of that just happened. And some people, like my friend, I guess it's just an overwhelming experience. And especially now, if you're a gig worker and your market is saturated, like how do you handle that? How do you come home and you was out for a couple hours and didn't make a lot of money? How do you handle other issues in your life where maybe you have an argument with your significant other? How you deal with that? And all those things are very important, to at least realize that you're not alone, and we all have our issues and things that we don't live up to every expectation. We're not perfect people, but I think it's important that we have that conversation. So I really appreciate Sara Elizabeth, for just continuing that conversation.
Yeah. No, I do too. And I I've only seen a few of her things. Again, I'm not quite on YouTube. I'm getting on YouTube more now these days, but or I've always been on it, but I wasn't doing a lot of gig stuff on it. Gotcha. More like music and other things that I was on YouTube for. But I've caught a couple of her videos, and I caught that one today, and I thought, this really needs to be talked about, because I know there's a bunch of people who just are pretty much probably at her level and are literally keeping it to themselves.
Yeah.
And those are the people you got to worry about, because if they can hide it good enough, then bad things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I even with my friend, I still don't know what I could have saw. Like, exactly. Like a lot of things you go through is you're angry. You realize you're angry at yourself. Like, hi, I didn't see this. You're angry at them for doing it. Like, you just go through all of that emotions, and I still don't know if I would be able to figure it out. but at least, talking about it and, going through, like if, just going back with gig work, if this is just not working, all right, let's figure something else out.
Right.
Like the end all be all is not about just gig work. It's what other things or opportunities are open for you. And there's so many different apps, so many different ways, so many different opportunities. So yeah, I think that conversation just needs to continue, and we just need to support each other. So it's interesting when you were talking about YouTubers being critical of each other. I don't know if that's the
That's
next
actually
segment
actually my last thing here. That's my last thing that I want to hit on with you. So
all right.
so that's why I let it in from there. I said, so here I even wrote out the question. So wait. So Hannibal, why is there so much feuding amongst YouTube gig space creators?
Okay. So this is going to be my interpretation about it. So I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn. So all right. So the first thing is a lot of, I guess, I don't know if it's drama or I don't know if it's just, I don't really feel like it's drama. I just feel like we're just having differences in opinion. Maybe there's some, some slick talk and, some subliminal messaging or some passive aggressiveness is happening. But what's happening here is not something unique to any kind of space in terms of YouTube space, like other communities. There's especially political, political talk and how they go back and forth with each other. So I think a lot of it is based on emotion, right? And we're looking at what someone is saying and realizing, are you helping someone or you're hurting, or we think that you're wrong, or we want to be right. I think a lot of it too, a lot of it's ego. Like we want to be right. We want to call out something. At least in my perspective, even the creators that I don't agree with, I have extended to come and talk to me. And the one that I don't agree with a lot what he does, he said he was going to, but then he something happened, I think vacation or something like that. So there's some creators that people do clickbait stuff. They'll do, hey, you can make $300 in every market, click this video. I mean, I'm like, well, I don't seem like that's very accurate, that kind of thing.
Right. I get that, but like I don't know, for me, like I guess like I love, even if I catch some flack for it, I love having people from both sides of things. Like if I talk about an issue a couple times, then I have like Willie Solis on from the Gig Worker Collective, or Vina Dubal, both the people who normally listen to the podcast are like, why are you doing that? I'm like, because I talked about it 3 other times with 3 other guests on the side. I think it's only fair for me to talk about the other side.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we should do in terms of that. And that's why I like talking to different kinds of creators. I talk to people who are, like, for instance, people who are cool with, the strikes, Instacart strike that happened, or it's currently happened since it started on the 16th, right? 2 days. Oh yeah, 16th from was a Saturday. I have no problem, because the way I make my content talk, there's a level of nuance. I really believe there's a level of nuance. There isn't a 0-1 binary type of thing. There's some little, we all should have principles and values, but there's a little bit of give and take with it. And also I think a lot of the creators take a lot what their comments say very seriously. And the comment section of any platform can
That's
be
one of the things I was going to ask you is part of this live chat.
I think a lot of it is that is part,
not just comments, but the live chat. Probably.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot
of it gets stirred up in there.
I think that too. And I think that sometimes some creators take with a comment or say, and they make that the focus of a video or a rant. Like, I don't like what this person has to say.
Right.
Personally, I haven't done that. Mine's is more of a subliminal message. Like, I read it, but I'm not making a video about it, but I'm making a community post to say, hey guys, do you guys think that you can make $300 in a day? And I guess to one creator that made a video, Joe Gig, I don't know if you've seen his video. You could check it out, actually. He has a little more.
I saw something that he did when it came out yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I'm, like I said, I have extended to talk to creators that I don't agree with, but they choose not to join, and that's just more,
See, that's weird.
I can't force them to do. Yeah,
that's weird to me.
Well, I feel like there's certain people who don't want to be challenged because then everything kind of falls apart. Certain political leanings, one will say, "Hey, let's debate this idea," and then the other one like,
Sure.
"I don't want to talk to you because you're toxic." You know what I mean? Like it's a very easy way to reject that. I'm not talking about it happening here, but I think it's a business. Monetize YouTube channels is a business, and some people may not want to have that business affected by whatever they're doing being challenged. But I also just think a lot of us we take negative comments too seriously. I think a lot of us just need to create some videos to help people kind of remember why you're doing it. You're making a video, you're making content to help people or either entertaining them or give them information. So as much as that video from yesterday, it has some good points of just telling us what's the purpose of why we're here. We're here to help. We're here to express our experiences, tell us about experiences to other people, help, make connections, make friends. So I think that's what, at least for me, what I got out of it. And yeah, I think kind of brings you back to the roots of why you're creating content in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I know that every podcaster wouldn't dare do something on a piece on being an IC and how they're dead sold on it and have 3 guests on and then have somebody from like Vina Duval or Willie Solis. And Willie and I are even friends outside of this. We don't agree, but we're respectful of each other. It's like I would think that there's somebody in the YouTube universe of creators with you guys, like maybe it's you, who the other side could trust like they do with me. Like they wouldn't go on everybody's podcast. Vina wouldn't go on anybody's. I mean,
Yeah.
but I got her on mine because she knew she wouldn't be attacked.
I think that's a very good point. And I think time will tell. I think when I invite someone, they can watch a lot of my videos. I think that my best stuff is the live streams, just talking to people, because I just love talking to people. Like I like talking to you. I like a real conversation. Like I can make a video and it's edited. It's it's scripted. It's not organic. There's nothing. It's something there. I do enjoy doing those, but I like talking and having and being challenged and thinking about certain things. But not everyone is. I think another thing too about the live stream thing. It's a lot of creators need to get comfortable doing it. Like my first one was Chad asking me to talk to him about my channel, and I was nervous. I didn't know how it would work talking to someone live and how people would interpret it. Like this is your first initial thoughts, but now I've asked a few people like, "Hey, you want to talk?" And like, "Yeah, but I'm not too keen on the live streaming thing. So maybe I should do what you do, kind of just like a pre-recorded type thing, make them feel more comfortable with that angle." But I'm definitely interested in talking to all types of people.
That's kind of my thing is that one of you guys, I don't know if it's you or who it is, but somebody's got to like be that what I do in the podcasting realm, and be able to bring the other side in and nobody's giving you flack about it from either side and you don't come at them in an attacking way. So they're right out of the gate, they're comfortable and it's just an honest, open conversation where nobody's yelling.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also things are just tight right now. People are not making a whole lot of money. Like if there was times where everyone was making money, I don't think people would care as much as there's a lot of hot button conversations. It's should you strike, right? Instacart shoppers,
right?
They're striking. People are very strongly on stance or other where they will go after each other if you decided to work on that day or if you decided not to. Same thing with the Para app, some people really believe that if you did it, you're a cheater. Some people's like, well, I need to know how much money you know what I mean? Like,
I know I was the driver advocate, or I still am, but at the time when it was peaking, I was getting either yelled at or loved. So
exactly. So I think it's those emotional, those hot controversial points. I think that's where the content creators are kind of going back and forth. It's stuff worth talking about, and some people are really passionate one way or the other. But like you said, it's a way to discuss it. But I think everyone's just guarded, and that's kind of going back to the idea of the contactless delivery. We're not trusting each other as much. Like we're already thinking that, oh, this guy's gonna put me on, so he's gonna set me up with a loaded question or something to that effect. So
But here's the reality of it. If you guys all put out a how-to video tomorrow that was on the same subject matter, and every one of them was for 10 minutes, and it's the first time that how-to video is ever shown to anybody, but you all put it out on the same day, it would be a perfect example of people flock to who they associate with.
Yeah.
So it's not so much always about the content, even though it is. It's a lot about the creator and feeling comfortable with who you're listening to.
Definitely. YouTube is personality driven. So
Yeah,
a lot of the criticism is there's too many ride-alongs. It's all the same. You're just picking up an order and you're taking it to the customer. Why there's so many of them? But it's based on personalities.
Mm-hmm.
So someone you want to watch, they could be doing whatever, but you like them, you've been around for a while. And so there's certain aspect of YouTube that I think a lot of people, I don't know if they just started YouTube or they started watching YouTube, like they'll say that, oh, we all talking about the same thing. Well, if you go to a basketball YouTube page, they're going to talk about basketball all the time. You can't go in there and say, can you talk about football? It's like,
no, I mean, and I watch all the, I watch and listen all the time. I mean, there's different content and everything, but you do. And I try and listen to everybody, but when it comes down to it at the end of the week or the end of the day, there are select people I like to listen to.
But because you only have so much time in a day, you got other things going on, so you're going to go with your go-to channels, and there's enough space for everybody. So
that's kind of what I'm saying. Like that's why I think there should be more talking amongst these creators that have issues, because really, like, you're still going to maintain your people. What might happen is if people keep getting hotter at each other, you might find that you lose some of your people.
Yeah. So like for me
just
personally,
just a thought.
Just for me personally, like I kind of stopped some of the like little things I was doing in terms of going and critiquing another creator just by making a community post. I don't make videos. I made a video about Bentley Coupe months ago. That's the last one where I just reacted to it. Right. I just, I realize things are hot right now. Like you said, things are hot. So I'm just going to, just focus on make some videos, and I'll reach out. I'm continue to reach out to creators and talk to them. So I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing. And hopefully I one of these days I do reach out to those who disagree and they'll be comfortable to come on. So I love this. I love talking to people. I love creating videos. So I'm not going anywhere. I love doing it. It's just amazing that I'm doing this and people care enough. It's like you said, for you to invite me. I'm living a good dream, man. It's pretty good to me. So I'm gonna take it seriously and I'm not gonna try to be a troll about it. So
I was thinking you might be a good person for that. Out of the creators I've seen, you kind of have a voice that could center, or even though I know you have a view on everything, where I feel like you might do what I'm doing and just kind of be able to get through that without, people are sitting there, other creators are grinding their teeth while you're doing an interview with somebody from the other side going, just ask him this, knock him here, do this. And it's like, that's not what you do to get back on the same page.
Yeah. I'm not here to do debates. Like, that's my wife. My wife is a debater. I am not a debater. I'm more of we're having a free flowing conversation, and we'll have our points, and we leave with some appreciation with each other. I think every conversation I have online is like appreciation. Like, that was fun. Oh, that was interesting. I never had a conversation that was like, I hate you, I don't like you anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I never had that so far. So it's I'm still learning how to do this too. So it's a learning experience overall, and I'm enjoying it.
All right. Well, Hannibal, before I let you go, give us the plugs. Give us your stuff, and I'll put them in the show notes as well. But
appreciate you. So yeah, Hannibal is Hungry is my YouTube channel. Instagram is Hannibal's Hungry. Same thing. I don't remember my Twitter. Sorry, I don't tweet. Chat always bothers me. You need to tweet. Like, I don't tweet.
Yeah, you actually have a weird Twitter handle too. It's not your normal Hannibal. It's like got some numbers or something in it.
If you guys are tweeting regularly, if you guys are really tweeting, I will jump in. But Twitter.
Well, I do. I have, and that's been a main platform of mine for a long time.
Cool. So I'll see if I can find it. But yeah, Hannibal's Hungry on YouTube, Instagram, and the Facebook page. Just type those words.
Yeah.
And you'll find me. And appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll chat again.
Awesome.
All right.